Well, this is the right hand door post, window post. It's got fuel line going up through it and a few little wires here going up through it. An antenna for the comm radio, and then wire sending power and the signal back for the GPS, and another wire for the nav light. And I also got the wire I just put in there for the 12 volt power supply back there, the little USB power supply. This is the cover that came on that on the airplane. This is the standard Piper cover. Got part number right in there, covered up. It don't look too pretty. It was just painted flat black. Paint's all scratched up and stuff on it for one reason or another. I tried it on here the other day and I couldn't get it to fit in here. But I got it laid down here now and I can get it to fit in here just fine. I need to do some trimming on it up here at the top and maybe a little bit down here at the bottom. So I don't need to make yet. I can just reuse this one. Trim that up a little bit where it matches up here with this Kydex on the top, and down there a little bit. I took the ball peen hammer and kind of modified this a little bit because that fuel line where it goes through there, I put some 3/8 inch fuel line over the top of it, some rubber fuel line over the top of it for anti-chafing and to help protect that going around those bends, and that bulges out a little bit there. So I made a little bulge here at the top and a little bulge there at the bottom where that fuel line turns out of there. Oh, that's going to be fine. That's going to be one I don't have to make. We'll clean that up, strip the paint off of it and stuff, and get it ready for paint. This left side inside window trim is kind of a U shape, and it just kind of slips over this window post here, kind of clamps down on it with spring tension. I've tried half a dozen times to get this old one to fit on here, and I couldn't get it to fit. I thought sure I was going to have to make a new one. After fitting that one on the right side, I decided to give this one another try, and I got it to fit on there, and it fits on there fine. It's going to work just fine. I'm going to need to trim it up a little bit here where it goes into the wing root Kydex here. That's going to need a little bit of trim up there, but otherwise that's going to work just fine. Actually, the paint on this one is in pretty good shape. Oh, I could just leave it the way it is, but I'll probably clean it up and paint it too. There's no corrosion on it and anything like that, so that's in pretty good shape. Good. A little trim work on that, and it fits just fine. A little tight fit, but that's what you want. You don't want it to come off of there. Anyway, that's one more that I don't have to make. These are the two forward inside window channels. I took those down and stripped the paint off of them so I could inspect them real good. This is the left one. It looks really good. It's nice and bright and shiny. This right one, this is a little bit duller for some reason. Maybe it was the original one that came on the airplane, I don't know. It did have a tag in there though, showing that it was new, but for some reason, almost looks like it was sandblasted or something. It's got some pitting in it, some corrosion in it, and some pitting here and there, a little bit, some around these screw heads, but that'll clean up in the acid etch. And so I'll acid etch this and allodyne it, both of these, and then I think I'll powder coat them. This is the front right window inside trim piece, and I looked at making that, and this one is just fine, so there's no point in making a new one. I had a little bit of a crack right up here in this bend. I stop drilled it, and I cut this and formed it to fit the Kydex and stuff on here, and I formed this on the bottom. I just belled that out a little bit where this fuel line bends around out of the instrument panel, and the same thing where it goes up underneath the Kydex here. I just belled that out a little bit because it's got this plastic or this rubber fuel line over that to help going around those corners. This had some reliefs cut out in it for the screws where the outside fairing screws on here, and of course they were all in the wrong places for the ones that I've got in there now. So I took this down to the shop and took the rotary file on the die grinder and ground out some new ones here, some new reliefs for that. I just trimmed those up, deburred them. Doing some research on it, I found out that the 303 or 3003 is the type of aluminum that they used on that, which is relatively soft aluminum. And 2024 T3 is the equivalent of what they were using for the flat fairings, like this outside piece here and stuff, and the ones that I've made that were flat there. So that worked out for that. So I'm going to put this piece in, get it set up, drill the holes into this window post here, into this structural framework so that I can get those located before I paint this. I'll drill the holes in there and then tap them for a 440 screw. Well, I got the two inside window post fairings done. We powder coated them with some wrinkle black. We got the left one snapped on there, and the right one I've just got it kind of sitting on there for now. It kind of goes in around the wiring bundle that goes up there on that side. I'll need to get it screwed down. But I think first I want to tie up those wires into kind of a bundle. I had them bundled up pretty good with some zip ties, some plastic ties, but they made the bundle so thick that they didn't really fit very good in that channel going up there. And the ratchet ends of those wire ties kind of take up a lot of space and stick out. So somewhere in my stash of stuff I have some regular tie string, some waxed string that's made specifically for tying up wire bundles. I'll see if I can't go find that and then tie those wire bundles up a little bit and just kind of tie them up loosely. Right now, especially on that left wing doorpost there, the wire bundle's pretty big and those wires kind of stick out. A chance they might get pinched as you put that thing on and off of there. The one on the right side's not quite so bad because there's not as many wires coming up there, but I still like to get it under control. There's my roll of electrical wire bundle twine. It's a flat waxed twine. I've had this for over 40 years. I used to have two of them, but one of the guys I used to work for stole one of them from me. It's been a long time since I've used this stuff. I don't hardly remember how now. I'll take this dirty portion off. I used it for something else. This looks a lot like the rib stitch and twine. It's pretty similar, but this is a lot bigger, a lot wider. This is what you used to use before they had wire ties. The wire ties work fine, but they just took up too much space in that bundle that I was making there. So the problem with tying the bundle with twine like this, the way it was regular tied, is you put a knot around it, then you run the twine down, run another knot around it, and run the twine down and another knot, and so on. So the twine was long and it run right with the bundle. And when you go to cut it in a spot, if you cut the twine in one spot, then it can unravel the whole length of it. The right window post doesn't really need it, but the left window post does. It needs something to get control of that wire bundle there, all those loose wires, and make them into a little bit of a bundle. So I took the string and tied that bundle up, and I didn't tie it in a tight bundle. I didn't want it in a tight bundle because then it balls up too much and sticks out too far. So I got it in a loose bundle, but that keeps it from the loose wires from hanging out over here and getting pinched in between that fairing and that window post there. So that'll fit tight in there. And with that string on there, there's no tab sticking out like there is with the wire ties. So that is going to work pretty good. And so I can put that fairing on there now and not worry about it anymore, and that'll all be done. I've done the same thing here on this right door post, window post, as I did on the left side. I took the string and tied that bundle up with it, cut off those tie wraps. This side wasn't near as bad. I could tie it tight. The bundle, there's not hardly anything in that bundle. It's just 4 wires, and it didn't stick out any. It would have probably been fine, but these little tips on the tie wraps, I had them tucked down underneath this fuel line, and I was afraid they would abrade on the fuel line. So I think this is going to be better now. This is a lot less obtrusive. The tie wraps aren't there. That string is a lot less obtrusive than the tie wraps. So I can cover this one up now, put this fairing on there. There's that inside right hand. I've got it on there. And I've just got the screws in there loose because that's got to come off yet. Weather stripping that goes around the door goes underneath that. That holds that weather stripping down where it goes around that upper door half.